start. Let me
Sorry,
share
everyone.
There we go. Right, Jem, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, I will. So yeah, let's welcome to the product updates for this month. Slightly different panelists. You'll notice that Bridget isn't here, so we'll get into who we are in a bit. But first up, just please let us know, where are you based? What's your job role? Drop it in the chat. We'd love to know where everyone's coming from. If the chat is typable, let's test it out. So whilst you're doing that, just want to introduce us as your BabelQuest hosts. So I am Jem. I'm the head of success, been at BabelQuest 10 years, been on a few of these now. But yeah, looking forward to being on these now for the next few months and yeah, introducing you to lots of product updates.
I'm Amy. I head up revenue at BabelQuest. So I basically work with our sales and marketing teams. I've not been here as long as Jem, but I have been a HubSpot former customer myself.
No, the assumption would be me. I'm Chris, and I've been at BabelQuest nearly as long as Jem, just slightly under a year less long already, something like that.
Amy, we seem to have a issue with the chat because it's working for me and Chris, but
okay,
not for everyone else. So if we can just take a minute to get that on board.
Where's the setting?
Usually we are.
Here we go. Let's try that. Can somebody just pop a note into the chat? I'll now change the setting and see if that works. Yes, Laura, cool. Brilliant, we're sorted.
Great.
Sorry.
And if I can just ask, Chris, if you can mute yourself whilst I'm talking, vice versa, then we can make sure you're not all hearing everyone in the background. So sorry about that as well. Bear with us while we're getting to grips with with this new technology. We obviously miss Bridget. She was very organized, but from now on we will be super organized. So there we go.
So we kick things off with AI and Breeze updates. Jem, shall we get going? I'm going to challenge our technical skills any further by trying to demo some of the content agent live. Because the first update is being able to create podcast case studies and landing pages via the agent. Now, these do take a bit of time. So what I'm going to go through is just setting up a podcast, setting up a landing page, and setting up a case study. By the time I've done that, fingers crossed, the case study, the podcast should have generated, maybe even the landing page. The case studies do take a little bit more time, so we might just go into the next update and then come back to it. So if I get out of there and go straight into the portal. So to get to the content agent, it's just down here under Breeze Content Agent. This is the home page, and you can start straight away just by launching one of the agents directly from here. So let's go with landing page first of all. First up, you just need to say the purpose of your landing page. I'm going to use an old product update we've done previously, one from December, and I'm going to create a landing page access it, for example, for on demand. So I'm going to call this, going to select the option to run an event and collect signups, and then need to just define my idea. So what I've done is prep is just give a little description here, which I can copy and paste. But let's do the whole thing here, just to speed things up a bit. So let's paste that in here. Now, in your setup of your ideal customer profile, we've just got top targets here, but if you had different ones that you'd already set up, you can set them up via this cog here, and then you choose your domain. Again, you might have several domains as well. We're just going to use this one, and then you can set your language as well. So next up, I'm going to add documents. You can add several documents at this point. I'm just going to use a transcript of the webinar as an example here. I'm just going to then click generate the landing page. While that's going, as I said, I'm going to start on the podcast and the case study as well. So let me just go back to here. Content agent. Podcast. Again, it's very similar setup. So this time I'm going to use the same example of our podcast, this time choosing UK, again, using transcript as a file, and then I just choose from the podcast we've got set up. This is the product update there. It's then going to give me some titles to choose from. And again, it should give me, you'll see the keyword intent and difficulty to rank, etc. So I'm just going to say, you can see I'm editing it, so I can do something like that if I wanted to, and then review the outline. Again, this doesn't take very long.
There's a slight chance it might say something about cheese, because I put a lot of stuff about cheese into the test portal when I was playing. So most things involve cheese.
I remember like the strike back of the Gorgonzola or something like that.
Gorgonzola, very much.
So here, it's already very nicely set out the outline for us. I could move these about, add additional talking points if I feel that there's something's been missed, but you'll be very familiar with some of these drag and drop scenarios from elsewhere in the portal, and you can ask HubSpot to regenerate it here by just clicking on that little icon too. And now I'm just going to click generate episode. So I'm just going to go back and see, yeah, there we are. We've got our landing pages already generated. So you can see already it's put a form in there for us. It's used the style that we've got set up. It's generated this heading, description down here. Of course, I can go in now and edit it if I want. So instead of submit, I might say access the recording or something like that on my CTA. It's already put in some highlights of the webinar for me there, the impact it might have had, and you can directly sort of watch it down here. So all these different elements you can then go in and amend, but you can see it's much quicker than doing all of this from scratch. Let's check on my podcast, it's still going. So I'm going to lastly then show the case study. So again, going down here, content agent, and this time case study. And then as an example for this one, I thought we'd use BabelQuest University, clearly a fictional university, but say one that we've worked with, and how HubSpot's helped them. So again, I've given us a little bit of background. I can just copy and paste here. You wouldn't need all of this, and certainly not the tone and style, because you could have that already set up. I'm just going to stick it all in here. Again, target audience, I'm going to use the UK here. You then select the company that you are writing the case study about. Now, this is BabelQuest University. Now, one annoying thing I found when doing this is if it's a new customer or something that hasn't already been set up in this isn't a company existing in your portal, you then have to add the company and start again this process from scratch. But technically that really shouldn't be happening, because if you're writing a case study on a customer, they should already be in your portal ideally. You can then customize some details here. If you've got more than one ICP, you can select it here. I've just chosen UK English again. Then we have, much like the podcast, a next step, which you can select a title. So let's see what it comes up with. So I have BabelQuest University Streamlined Emissions with HubSpot. Seems pretty good, that one to me. I'm going to add documents again. Much like the other ones, I can then choose a document type. So from memory. Gone again, got a PDF that I've used here. So I'm going to select that one, and then I'm going to click generate case study. So again, the case study does take a little bit more time, but let's go back and see how our podcast is doing. Yeah, there we go. So it's given us in an introduction there. We can then choose our voice that we like. I'm going to choose a British voice.
This is a sample of the selected voice reading aloud.
Can you hear that?
Does it suit your content?
Yeah. Or we could choose a
This
different.
is a sample of the selected voice reading aloud.
Sounds very American, so let's go with a Fable. I can then generate an audio preview there, and again choose if I wanted a different voice for this section, a different voice for this section, etc., etc. You can see how it's grouped them together in those different almost chapters, and once you've done that, you can generate the full episode audio. I'm just going to do one check on the, there we are, it has done it. So you can see immediately this case study we've been generated. It's got the industry, the challenge, the results here, quotes that we could amend if we wanted to as well. Bit about the company, i.e. BabelQuest University Challenge Solution. So yeah, really, and for those marketers amongst you, this does take an awful lot of time. So this has cut that down tremendously. So I think some really exciting updates with the content there that can make a big difference. So yeah, if any of you have managed to use some of these tools, please put it in the chat, as Gemma says. I will also add some links to some knowledge-based articles in the chat while Gem is going to present the next update.
Yeah, I love all of those tools. It's that getting a starting point, isn't it? So it might not be, it definitely isn't the finished product, because you always want to edit AI generated things, but just having a page created, I don't know the amount of times I've sat there staring at a blank landing page going, gosh, I have to start this from scratch. So yeah, to be able to start from something is brilliant, especially loving the podcasts and generating those automatically as well. So yes. Oh, I think we may have lost you, Amy. I know you're still there.
No, I'm still here. Sorry, I was just typing in
That's right.
chat, putting the
Yes.
3 different ones.
So
Do you want me to share my screen while you do that, or you want to take
sorry,
over?
I'll take it over, and then I'm going to jump into something else that is along the same theme, really. So let's go into this. So I'm going to go into video remixing, and I'm not going to open this out because I'm going to actually dive into the tool and show it. But the content remix tool has been around for a while. I don't know how many of you actually played around with the content remix tool. It's really cool, saves so much time. Once you've generated that podcast, those content pieces, then actually being able to go in and remix them is brilliant. This piece is around video remixing. So I'm just going to go into the remix tool. If you've not seen it before, it lives in content. It is a Content Hub feature, and it is currently still beta, or elements of it are still beta. But you can go into here. There are lots of templates in there. So if we go to saved, go to home, you can see the remix templates that live in here, brainstorming blog ideas, extending content, etc. If we want to start remixing, this is our test portal, so I'm going to work with what we've got in here, but I'm going to add the content here to begin with. So because we want to look at video, I'm going to grab this video. It's not liking that video. Let's just change that.
Try something shorter.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
the thing.
gets
Not
angry at
liking
the
that.
leg.
Yeah, so I've got this one of me from a data boot camp that I did. So we'll try that one. And what I would do if I wasn't wanting to generate a video, I might add another source material, which might be, say, this blog in there. Let's try that, just so we're generally demoing the content remix as well. So blog, I can go in and select from a URL. put that in there as well. So we're going to have those as our source content, source material. You could have multiple videos that you then want to remix together. So if you put lots of different ones in there, maybe a series of boot camps you've been running, you could then mix them together. I'm then going to click this plus button here and go in there for whatever I want to make next. So if I was going to take both of these, I might want to create an email, for example, inviting to a data bootcamp, which is what I'm talking about in the video, and then the blog post about data categories. So if I generate that, that's going to create me an email. So this could be a really good starting point for campaigns. So whilst that is generating, so that's now created that. So you can see the email has been created, what to expect, who should attend, and it's taking all that information from both of them and putting it in there, which is great. That's very useful. Let's got rid of my video. If we were just going to go video, which is what I also wanted to demo, we get the video in there, then do plus. You can then do this video clip. So this is the new element, and this part is beta as far as I know. So there will be new developments to this over the coming months, I'm sure, because there are things that clients are already asking me about with this. So I could say custom instructions, pick some highlights to share. Well, typing does not work when you're being watched, as promotion on LinkedIn. So I might be taking an initial video, chopping it up. So I'm going to say I want 2 clips to be created because I would like to view them. Because this is a shorter one, it's going to just create a very short one basically. But if this was, say, a webinar or something else, it could snip it into smaller bits. So we could take this webinar, for example, and snip that up into different sections, which I think we are actually going to do. So we may you may see that cropping up all over LinkedIn as well. And then you can see what it's done here is it has done 2 for me. It's given a couple of titles. You'll see the original length was nearer a minute. This is now 30 seconds and 23. It's given me a bit of a script of what I've got there, and I can also edit. So if I do save and edit, I can go in, I can see all of this detail, I can see the clip, I can then actually add clips. So say you want to add like an intro at the beginning, an outro at the end, you could do that. And I can choose the caption style, all of that. So really nice for just creating content out of content, basically. So taking a webinar, creating lots of promotion, love it.
Yeah, and be able to crop it straight from here as well. It's such, honestly, it's going to save so much time.
Yeah, and I can only see this developing, like for example, being transparent at the moment, for a lot of things we use Canva for a template to kind of overlay music and other slides. I can absolutely see this going in the same direction. So you've got some more actions, but this is still relatively basic. So there will be so much more that's coming from this now they've launched video clips, I'm sure. So excited to see that. Next one I'm going to do, let's just talk about this for a minute. So the next update is AI campaign summary insights. I personally am loving all of the summary insights across the platform. So these are coming into all the tools, all the records, and they're basically just giving you a summary of all the activity that's going on in that specific thing you're looking at. And this is for campaigns. So campaigns have grown so much over the last 5 years. They used to be very basic. Now you can attach almost anything to a campaign. I even saw the other day you can add sales emails into their sales playbooks. So you now have visibility over everything that's touching your campaign. And the downside of that is really that you've got too much data. So you've got too much to look at. And actually then having AI look at that and give you a nice summary is really useful for getting an overview of how it's performing. You can then ask it questions on how it's going. So really uncover those highlights and key learnings. So I'm just going to do a quick demo. Because we're in the test portal, it's slightly harder to demo. But if I just go into a test campaign, it gives you a bit of an idea. So gone into the test campaign. At the top here, you'll see this summary. If this doesn't appear straight away, there might just be the little AI kind of, I don't know what you'd call that shape, little
Voice
diamond,
generating.
the little, little diamond shape, and you can click that to generate the summary initially. You can refresh it to be absolutely up to date. It will refresh automatically most of the time, but obviously at specific increments. So we've now generated this summary. I can then choose to do an in-depth summary. So Copilot's then spinning that up for me. Obviously, you would need to have Copilot turned on for this and AI capabilities turned on in your portal. So Copilot's just whirring away, probably struggling to make a more in-depth summary because there's not much in this campaign because it's test. But here you can see I've got a bit of a summary. I can actually look at the campaign overview, the key metrics, highlights and key learnings. And the more data you've got in there, the more this will be. So you could then ask questions to Copilot as well. So slightly more difficult without the assets in there. But yeah, you could ask if this continues at the same rate, what's the projected contacts that could be created, or which asset is performing better, which asset style is performing better. You could track all of these different things. So really nice and definitely worth kind of playing around with and knowing the sorts of questions you should be asking. That is that. I think the next one is me again. Yeah, oh sorry, that tripped me up. So customer agent, another AI piece in there. This is a really interesting one. So customer agent is still in beta in HubSpot, and if I just jump into this, this is what customer agent generally looks like. We can set up, so ours is, and of course in the test portal, Barry White, that is our test portal agent. We can actually absolutely. You can feed Barry, basically. We can feed Barry all sorts of information so that when our customers come to the website or the page that we've decided to add customer agent to, he's giving you the most important information, and you can kind of test how that looks down here. So we can see any knowledge gaps in there and start filling those. So this new update is around being able to feed that data, so you can spot these knowledge gaps and actually feed them. So really interesting area here. So if we're clicking into contact, we can actually look at all the different sources. So at the moment in here, there's some standard sources. So we've got the knowledge base, website, landing pages, blog, all the standard things, but you can start actually importing different things. So I'm going to add some content here. You can add HubSpot content if there's specific things you want it to zoom in on. You can set some short answers, so question and answers. So I would just do a workshop, source some key questions that customers are asking, add those in. And then the really interesting one here is you can add files. So you can actually go outside of HubSpot and look at external pieces, PDFs, pricing guides, anything like that, case studies that you may have, and add those. So I'm going to add the HubSpot Administrator's Handbook, which is one of our PDFs. If I add that in, that's then going to be in the files section here. And it's basically, you've added the citations is turned on. So it means that your agent can cite the source. So it can basically say, oh, I've got this from the handbook. If it's from a pricing guide, you may not want them to, and you can access or change all the access settings. So that basically means then when someone asks Barry about HubSpot administration or what are the top things to do around this, Barry knows the answer because we've fed it the information. So I think it's really worth putting some time and effort into really scoping out the sorts of questions your customers are asking, the sorts of things that would help save your service team time, and then you can get it set up. So really liking this one.
Yeah, those were our top AI updates. This is, as you can see, lots still going on. Okay, should we jump into the CRM ones, Jen?
Yes, I think so. So shall I share my screen again and then Chris first up? Let's go to one now. Okay, so first up, Chris, do you want to go?
Okay, if everyone wants to contribute, we can get Jem some AirPods and then it'll filter out all the background noise.
I'm sorry, I'll mute myself.
So it's one of there's a few of these you think aren't that exciting, but actually this is quite useful. Creating a list from an index page. I'm not going to demo it, but do go and have a look. Basically, that thing you had to do before where you had to make a list and then add to the list, we can now do it. We can basically now do it directly from the page, as you can see. So little update, but it's one that's going to take away quite a lot of faff. So we like this one. What's next?
Yeah, the new homepage. Tell you what, Jem, do you want to get it up just while I'm talking through it? Well, so I think this is really helpful. So yeah, you just click the home icon at the top of the global navigation bar underneath the sprocket, and it now contains dynamic and personalized content to help you. So what I really like is the pick up where you left off. So you can see Jem's been working on a workflow. If we looked at my screen right now, we'd see the landing page, podcast, and the case study that I was just showing you just a couple of minutes ago. You have a section on things that need your attention. So just any important items that you should be reviewing. They might be approvals, comments, workflows again, connection errors, just things that you need to look at to keep things running smoothly. There's a recommended for you section, which gives you sort of data-driven, personalized suggestions for what you should do next, including maybe some tools and features that you should be using as well to make sure you get the most out of HubSpot. So a really nice addition there to the homepage.
I love the homepage. I think there's so much scope here. Like for ages, we've been recommending that people use dashboards as homepages for ages, but this is personalized and I love it. Being able to then also ask Copilot straight away and it kind of welcoming you to the portal. I think this is brilliant. Again, a lot of with Copilot is learning what questions to ask, isn't it? So I think learning those kind of regular questions or those shortcuts that you're going to use to prepare for a meeting, etc. Just brilliant. Great way to start.
For me, who hands up, I always have about 50 tabs open so I can remember where I was. The thing I've been liking about this is the pick up where you left off. So it means I can close my tab and know that I can easily access where I was next time I open up a new tab rather than having them all open.
The multi-tabs gives me nightmares, so the knowing that it's going to save where I was is even better for me. So yeah, lovely.
So multi-account management next, Jem. This is really interesting. We were having a conversation about it yesterday, weren't we?
Yeah, so this is one that we've been actually really discussing for years. Like Chris, I don't even know how long ago, like 6-7 years we've been wanting this. Like the amount of clients that I've known that actually there were a few that couldn't buy HubSpot because of this issue where they needed to have separate portals. Others had one, maybe used business units, but actually really needed multiple portals. This now changes that, so they can now have multiple portals and you can actually have a lot more kind of synchronization across those. So very difficult for me to demo this. I'm not going to even try because you'd have to have the multiple accounts, etc. But I'm just going to talk through it. So you've got a few different things this allows, and it is currently a beta. I believe it's one that you have to request to get access to, but they'll basically approve you, but it's got a very specific use case. So if you have multiple portals, so you can connect up to 5 accounts to your organization so that you're essentially having a group of portals that belong to you. That's currently at 5. I can see that being extended. One of the use cases for this, for example, is franchises that want to keep those franchises as separate portals. I expect you'll be able to top that up at some point, but they're starting with 5. You can copy assets across accounts, which is amazing. I mean, the use case I'm currently thinking of that we spoke about yesterday, Amy, was sandboxes. So being able to connect your sandbox, which actually everyone could be able to do, and being able to copy assets across accounts that way. So building something and copy it into the main portal, something that's been a limitation for ages. And you can also improve customer experience by viewing data across different accounts. So the use case here is some businesses need that data to be in separate portals. They can't work in one portal because of GDPR reasons, needing to have them as separate businesses, but they want the visibility of knowing, okay, this customer is also talking to these business units or these other portals. Being able to have the insight to know, they're in X portal and they're associated to this person, I'll know to go and speak to them to maybe get a bit of insight and to maybe be able to make that deal a bit better. And you can actually define the relationships and governance between multiple accounts. So you could have a kind of a head account. And I imagine the kind of use case going forward will be better reporting for that main account, and then pushing it out to those kind of child accounts as well. So you can set all of that up. Really interesting. I'm most excited about that asset copying. I think that's great. But Chris and Amy, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
No, definitely. I think just to be clear, I think you were mentioning business units is essentially what some businesses are using, but that is not suitable for all businesses. So this is really a game changer for the businesses where business units aren't suitable.
Yeah.
I was going to demo this, but
In the interest of time, because we're running out and there's much more interesting things to show you later, I'm not going to go in and try it yourself. Auto save properties on the CRM index page. We can now edit things in line, but previously, and I remember this from hundreds of training sessions, just telling people, don't forget to save. We don't have to do that anymore. It's going to save the updates that you make. So we'll move on to the next update. So we've got time for the really good stuff at the end.
Yeah, this one saves so much time. Love it. Next one, so goals refresh. Again, I find this a really tricky one to demo, but I'm going to talk through it and to show you the area in HubSpot. It's tricky to demo because everyone has different goals. Everyone has different ways their goals need to be set up. The key change here is that goals is really developing. There's actually a few different updates that have come into goals recently, and I can see those improving further. So you can now view your goals in a better way. Add filters to look at certain things, and you can also now create reports directly from an existing goal. So rather than, as you would in the past, creating a report and then having to apply goals to it, which often gave you problems because not all reports could have goals, you can actually do it the other way around now. So basically you can choose this goal, I'm going to make a report on it. So just to dive into goals very briefly in the reporting area, looking through. If we go into here, we can actually click into this, the new performance space. If we click into actual goals, you can then see these reports that are kind of standard out box ones. You can then edit them. So you can go in, customize elements, do comparisons, etc. And then you can save them to dashboards as well. Maybe not that one actually, the top one, no, but these ones you can save it and add it to dashboards. So it's a different way around to how we do things before, but great. Yeah, great for starting to report better on goals. So you can go, for example, actual versus user goals. We could tweak that, make it look exactly as we want, and then add it to a dashboard. There's a few different ones here. So user goals in progress, achieved, missed, a leaderboard of KPIs against goal. And then you can look into user performance in a more detailed way as well. So this is just the forecasted revenue one. You can do this for any of the goals in there. So really like that you can, they're starting to make that reporting on goals a lot easier, which has been a big pain point previously. Back to goals, but this is more specifically to campaign goals. So again, just improving the experience around campaigns and goals. As I said, campaigns had a lot of attention recently, but so has goals, and this is the combination. So just being able to look in the performance tab of campaigns, and there are again some key kind of reports in there already. So yeah, and you can also edit the campaign goals and see how that applies in there. So this one, for example, you can see the total goal is 1.5k MQLs. We can see the progress towards it, the target achieved. So really simple way of doing that. I can't remember who's doing this one, Amy. I can't see.
That's not very exciting. Let's move on.
I'm gonna say, I think this is just being able to have particular properties in the forms elemental.
It's something that should have been in progress for a while, but yeah, basically this has only just been possible in the new forms. It's been possible for ages in the legacy form builder, but this is just in the new one.
Yes.
Chris, I think this is yours.
So I'm gonna change
Right,
the-
can I take the share? Send request. Okay, request has been sent. We are now going to, what should we share? So I've got so used to doing this via Bevy and suddenly we're having to do it by Zoom and it's all different. So let's go over here. Can everyone see my screen? Brilliant. So there's a few updates here. The first is the create workflow redesign. And I have to say, I don't know about the rest of you, but the first time I got a look at this, I found it a little bit confusing, but actually it's really good. And I'd encourage everyone to go with it because it's much, much more intuitive. Somewhere, you know, you can see it looks different. And the first thing you think of is, I don't know what to do. Bear with it. Enrollment options, you've got your enrollment options here, or you can use the AI to help you with it. And this is a really nice step because everybody forgets to put re-enrollment on. It's going to ask you to put on whether you want to re-enroll or not. So it's just really nice. And you've also then got much more depth on enrollment options you can use. So if you can see down here, we've got data, we've got communications, we've got automation happening, and we've got the sort of more advanced stuff. So we can actually have webhook received and things like that. So it seems a bit more complicated, but actually, as you go through it, it's actually walking you through the process. So anybody that's struggling, obviously, come and talk to us, and we'll see if we can help. But for me, I think this is really exciting. And Jen, as the veteran of thousands of workflows, will probably concur. Hopefully, concur.
I think it's one of those things, Chris. I hate change. I'm known for it. But this is a good change. So yes, it's going to take a little bit of time, and it feels a little bit wrong when you first go in there and you're not doing it in the same way as we have before. But I love the way it steps through everything, and it makes sure you're paying attention to all the different areas. And also, it's kind of making it, I was saying this to Amy yesterday, it's making it like hub agnostic a little bit more. So it's getting you to think about the portal as a whole, which is my favorite thing to do. So
no hubs.
Yeah,
One HubSpot, no
one
hubs.
portal, one platform. I think about the automation across the whole thing. So yeah, love this update.
Don't know what to put it in the chat pane. What do you think about this? We're interested in your feedback on all these ideas. The next one. Now, excuse me if I get terribly excited about this one, but enrolling records and workflows from a CRM card sounds slightly confusing. So let's have a look at it. We're in a record, and there's the usual record stuff in here. But look at this this card here. I've called it Super Sales Shortcuts. I think the thing with this one is context is everything. Actually, if you're just told this is a feature, you can do things with it. Don't know what to do, but with some use cases. So, for example, as a salesperson, in fact, you might want to do things like summarize a record for the boss. So here's a workflow trigger. I can click that. It's going to do a summary based on using Breeze. It's going to put it into an internal communication, and it's going to send it to my boss. Qualify and create a deal, and I think a lot of us perhaps that are more maybe detail oriented might think that taking away a click doesn't make a difference. But in terms of adoption, this is magical. This will, if you think through some of the workflows that you're going to put here, your sales team will absolutely love it. Do we want to see, do we have time? Do you want to see how to do this, how this works?
I'd do a quick look at that, Chris. I think
You
it's
want
great.
to? Okay. Record customization, and I can go into my default view, and you'll see down here, here's my card, Super Sales Shortcuts, and it's literally just a workflow card. I'm giving it a name. I've made it a bit more interesting. But what we can do is then search the workflows. So if it was me, I would recommend starting off by thinking about use cases, build the workflows, give the workflows a name that's nice and simple. Don't forget to turn on your enrollment in workflows, just in case people want to use these buttons again, because they might stop working. Think about what you're going to call your card and add that card. And I think when we first showed this, Jem had a really good idea to pass on to the product team. That was, could we have conditional cards here for different life cycle stages or different departments? And I think that's going to be the next iteration of this. So really nice piece of functionality. Think through how you use it. Amy looks like she's trying to come off mute.
Sorry, I was just saying we've got a question. How granular can you apply permissions to the workflows available on the card?
It's at the moment, and we've actually when I put a post up on LinkedIn on this one, we had a similar question. You're choosing the workflows that people can have on the card. So if you think the secret is going to be don't give people permission to edit the records, and then they can't change the workflows that are on the card, and that's your sort of policing step. It's all about people, process, technology, and people are the ones that mess it all up.
It's actually a good point, Chris. It might be one to test, but with workflow permissions, if you're not giving people the permission to enroll contacts, I wonder if it still works.
So that is
Interesting. Let's check that with the product team. I suspect you can still enroll, but I think if we're stopping people having permission to build workflows, which everybody should do, don't let anyone build workflows. I've just seen some horrors lately. So are people excited about that one, hopefully. And what is next?
Why don't I take over next? We're going to go into the sales side of things. And the first update is just a very quick one, but it's actually quite hard to explain without showing it. So it's being able to undo directly from a lead record. So here I've just got the a lead up, Bob's Badges. I'm going to change this to the next stage. So I'm just going to change it to disqualified. Now, if I do that, if I want to create myself a follow-up task, but you do see here, there's a lead stage changes saved. So if I think, didn't mean to do that, I can then click undo and you can see it's gone back to qualified. So again, a nice little sort of time saving thing there as well. I think you're going to do the Breeze prospecting agent next, Chris, aren't you? Because it's gone from public beta, it's now public beta.
It's now very exciting. Okay, let's share again. This one, I was enormously cynical about this before I saw this. And actually, I've been trying to enroll in the private beta for about 6 months. And I think the initial version wasn't amazing. But what we've got now is something that's actually pretty slick. So we've got, again, to access our prospecting agent, we're going to go down here, prospecting agent. Hello, I'm your prospecting agent. The first thing you need to do is set it up. And in this case, I've got a selling profile, which let's go into it. So you're going to give it a name. You've got the options for identity, so you can connect it to a user or a contact owner, depending on what works for you. You can then choose its tone, as with all the AI. And then again, with everything, we're training the AI. If you don't train your AI, it's going to be not much good. And here we go. So we've got it to analyze the website, and then we've given it some basic prompts and talking about products and services and industries that we sell to. So we're just sort of setting it up. This one is up to you. I would recommend semi-autonomous until you know how it's going to behave. But we can have this fully autonomous so that we can enroll someone in the prospecting agent and it literally just will go off and do its own thing. I quite like semi-autonomous because I want to have a look at what it's doing. So once you've set up your agent profile, then we're basically just enrolling contacts in it. And just to show you this, I've got myself enrolled in this, and we can actually see what's happening. The agent has sent out an email. And if we bear in mind that my job title in this test portal is buyer of parts, and that we've given it quite a lot of Babel Quest stuff to learn about, you'll see it's actually written this itself. It's asking a question more or less. It's quite relevant. It's giving some useful assets. So here we've got an asset it can download. We've got a web page they can go to, and we've got a meeting link so it can come and have a meeting. Second email, it's actually talking about parts procurement. It's talking about the G Cloud, and it's actually made that connection itself. That was nothing to do with me. It's connected somebody buying something with a G Cloud framework. So the emails it's producing are actually surprisingly good. I'm not saying fire your sales department immediately, but it's they're all sitting near me. I'm going to get salted now. But it's surprisingly good for that early stage prospecting, and I think it's something to really lean into, because we've got analysis. We can actually see, and again, test portal, so we don't have any data, but the Sankey chart's going to show us emails delivered, who's opening and who's actually replying and booking meetings. So I think this is a really nice piece of functionality. Like everything, just because you can doesn't mean you should, but I'd encourage you to all have a look at this and think about some of the exciting use cases. What do we have next? Or do we have questions?
I was going to say, Jem, do you want to take over the screen sharing? I've got the next update.
Yes.
Basically an update to the calendar integration, which syncs your out of office. So for both Google and Microsoft calendars, if you've got yours set up in HubSpot, which is just under if you go to settings, your preferences, one of the tabs at the top is calendar. You'll now see this new option, calendar sync. And once you enable that, any newly created or edited out of office blocks on your calendar will sync and appear on HubSpot's user out of office page, and can be used to determine the availability for example, for automatic assignment and that kind of thing. And also works vice versa. Any new out of office blocks added in HubSpot will then sync and appear in the connected calendar, whether that be Google or Microsoft as well. I can put a little link to the knowledge base on that one as well. The next one is just a streamlined approval for admins. So now you'll see this new tab if you navigate to quotes, which is showing you all the ones that are pending approval. Previously, quotes were managed through tasks, so this is actually really, really good, because you're not having to trawl through all the different tasks to figure out which ones are the quotes. So you just go straight to quotes and you'll see this new tab, pending approval. Click on that, you'll see the quotes that you need to action. I think that was all for the sales updates, and we're jumping into service now, Jem.
So this one, I'm not going to demo it, but it's quite a simple one to explain. So you've got the customer portal set up to handle your tickets. Basically, you can now reply to a closed ticket. So say a customer has had a ticket closed off, they're happy with the outcome, and then at some point something breaks or they have something additional to look at, they can now go back into that ticket and it will just say, please confirm you want to reply to a closed ticket. It will reopen it. And on the internal kind of view for us, it would then just go back into your conversations inbox, and you could start that conversation again. So, I mean, you may then want to say to the customer, okay, I'm going to raise a new ticket for this to follow a certain process, but it means that they can go back and refer to a specific conversation that was being had before. So yeah, really nice little improvement to the customer portal.
Yeah, no, it is.
Amy.
So sending feedback surveys via workflows. I think this one actually was Chris going to do it, but I can certainly talk about it. Before you had to use workarounds. For example, maybe you've got having to put the survey link into an automated email and that kind of thing. But this update just allows anyone who's a Service Hub Pro Plus customer to be able to collect feedback more effectively, and then doing that. So again, just another sort of process improvement, really. The next one is reporting on time and ticket status. So we've seen similar updates in other areas, but essentially in the reporting and segmentation areas, you can now use properties like date entered a certain status of a ticket or exited. You can also do the time in that a ticket has been in a certain status and that kind of thing as well. So as I said, we've seen that on deals and that kind of thing. So it's very similar, and this has been possible before through, again, workarounds and workflows. But again, this just makes it a lot simpler to be able to add these filters in, say, reports and segmentation as well. Yeah, just makes it a lot easier. Again, nothing for you to do. Properties are automatically updated as a ticket moves through the different statuses. And yeah, every time a ticket enters a status, those 4 properties on our screen will be updated.
Nice. The next one, a small one really, but just an FYI more than anything. So if you haven't yet moved your knowledge base onto HubSpot, you can now actually do that in a much slicker way. So the migration of legacy knowledge base to the new platform is much smoother. Previously, being able to customize the knowledge base has required starting from scratch, which for someone like us who has a lot of hacks in our knowledge base, you don't want to be doing that from scratch. You want to bring them across. So being able to now just switch it across to the new one is brilliant. Nice way to update it, and there's now much more customization in there, whereas before it was quite limited. So
I was going to say, does it look nice now? Because I think that's always been
ability to make it look nice is the difference.
Look nice. Okay.
So that was all of the updates. A couple of things just to let you know about. So we've got there were a lot of AI updates in this session, and we've got a training workshop coming up. So cracking the AI code, hands-on HubSpot AI for team productivity. So definitely want to sign up for. The link is in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's that one. And then another AI one. So on the 15th of April, so coming up next week, Eric will be speaking about what business owners need to know before diving into AI. So as you can tell, it's a hot topic at the moment. There's a lot going on about it. So we are going to be talking about it. Please do ask us any questions. As always, we would love feedback on how these are going. And Amy, I think we need to give an update on a new invite being sent out for this.
Yeah.
Yes, again, just purely for technical reasons, Bridget previously was the owner of the meeting, so I need to set out a new meeting. So after this webinar, watch out for a new invite coming through for next month's product update.
And we are moving it slightly earlier in the month.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the first Wednesday of the month rather than the second. Just makes it a little bit easier for everyone to remember when it is. It will still be at the same time, same day, but it'll just be a week earlier. So we'll see you in fewer weeks than before. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. And yeah, we hope that was really helpful, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.
See you next month.
So,